Sometimes you just gotta go bar down.
Krull, top titty 2x4 to end the game. That was nice.
Bardown Beauties.
That's the sexy part of the game, is it not? The plays and the goals and the...
Yeah, that's what you guys like. I mean, it is great.
And now, a new episode of Bardown Beauties with Jessi Pierce and Kirsten Krull.
At Jim Beam, they know the importance of tradition, like chanting, "Let's play hockey" prior to the start of each game, or playing the state of hockey anthem after a wild win. This season, raise one to your fan family with a bourbon that invites us all to come as friends and leave as family. Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey, the official bourbon whiskey partner of the Minnesota Wild and XL Energy Center. Drink smart. Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2021. James B. Beam Distilling Company, Incorporated, Fairmont, Kentucky.
Hello, everybody. What's up? We're back. Episode 266 of Bardown Beauties. I'm Jessi Pierce, writer for NHL.com with a frog in my throat because I am battling a wicked cold. She's Kirsten Krull, in arena host for your Minnesota Wild. Happy Monday, Kirsten.
Happy Monday. I'm in a great mood. Like, I'm chipper. Like, I coming off of a fun Super Bowl. I'm great today. And
The
you
Chiefs
are
didn't win, which I know you were also.
Yeah, I was anti-Chiefs. I'm tired of them. I'm tired. And Jalen Hurts, man, underdog. People didn't believe in him. Benched in the national championship. And look at him now, Super Bowl MVP. What a guy.
Can I say, first of all, it was funny because I don't think many people were cheering for the Chiefs, because when I went to the grocery store to like pick up cute little like football cupcakes, the only ones that were left were like the Chief color ones. Like everybody had already taken the Eagles, which is ironic considering our disdain for the Eagles here in Minnesota as well. But I also understand a little bit.
Philadelphia, upon waking up, has already destroyed their city as well, their fans. There's a lot of broken windows and trash everywhere. I saw online this morning, so
Terrible.
Eagles fans, going to be Eagles fans,
They
but
go hard.
what can you do?
The thing I don't like, did you see that there was a question to Jalen Hurts about how does it feel to win your second Super Bowl? And it's not his second Super Bowl, it's his first. And the thing that pains me even more, because this happens almost every year, where there is a question where somebody didn't quite do the research. And now, mind you, at a lot of these big events, it's not your normal news people covering it necessarily, right? It's not your beat writers. It's a female, of course, asking the question. And it's always a female, so it just pains me.
Yeah, because then the comment section and the disrespectful men online. Notice my word choice there, because I'm saying it's not all men. It's the very disrespectful men who take that stuff and run with it. And then makes it out a whole thing that like women, this is why they shouldn't be doing this stuff. So that's tough. I feel like I know what she meant. She meant probably like, this is your second Super Bowl, but first win.
No.
I hope that's what she meant.
No, I mean, it was an error for sure, I believe. I think she just didn't think it through, but
Yikes.
yeah, bummer. The hockey world celebrating their own Super Bowl, kind of, sort of, best on best situation. Four Nations kicks off this week. You guys know how excited I've been for this. I still have my USA jersey up here, I think. Oh yeah, it's on the floor. I'm ready to wear it all week. That starts on Wednesday in Montreal. You've got Canada versus Sweden, then U.S. and Finland square off on Thursday to start their tournament. The U.S. facing Canada on Saturday. Live show at Tom Reed's. Puck drop at 7. Show will start at 6, so come on out for that. And then the U.S. will wrap up round robin play Monday in Boston against Sweden with the championship next Thursday. Kirsten, how are we feeling about it? I'm thrilled. I understand people's concern, right? Because the best on best means you are going to get all of your good players out there trying their damnedest to win the thing. But how are you feeling? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you kind of meh? Or are you going to take a break from hockey? Like Marco Rossi, I asked him what he was doing for the break, and he said he's not going to be checking it out at all. He is turning it off, going to Turks and Caicos with his girlfriend.
Good for him. Also, I'm doing a mix of both. Like, I'll be like tuned into it. I'm excited to follow along, but at the same time too, It's so nice to have a break, especially before March. Like I know I keep saying that. You look at the schedule for March and it's just crazy. So I'm looking to take a little bit of a step back, but not like both feet out. Like I'll still be following along and everything. I'm excited to see it. We've mentioned this, but especially it's become even more, I think, after Saturday's game, like Joel Eriksson not playing for us on Saturday due to a lower body injury, but he's in Montreal preparing to play Four Nations. I don't love that. Like, I'm scared, especially Minnesota-wise. I'm already scared, not in love with how our injury situation has been this year. And you're going full force heading into this tournament, and you're going to be giving it your all, like you mentioned, Jessi. And having a Jonas Brodin, who I don't know how his health is now after just coming back from injury. And then you have Joel Eriksson, who missed a game for the Wild because he was injured, but still going to play in this tournament. So that's been my biggest concern up till this point, and it still remains a concern, maybe even more so now.
Yeah, no, I mean, valid, right? And I asked John Hines specifically that on Saturday, like, where is your concern level at with Joel Eriksson in particular, having missed the game Saturday? He was always a game time decision, apparently. But where does that leave you? And he's like, it's a minor injury. We're not worried about it. But then you see guys like Quinn Hughes unable to play, Alex Pietrangelo now unable to play, right? And Brodin playing a little hurt. My bigger worry is a little bit that the guys who are going to probably have large roles, like Brock Faber, who I think is probably a part of your top 4 defensive pairing for U.S., and then Filip Gustavsson, who is likely your backup, if not your starter for Sweden. Do those guys wind up hurt because you can't handle that injury? And again, I don't think, I've asked Hines this as well. I said, as a coach of an NHL team, how do you feel about the prospect of this? And I think you got to approach it as it's 3 games, because it is 3 games. It's just 3 games in the span of 10 days, 4 if you're lucky enough to get to that championship. But God, guys are just going to be going all out. You can't handle an injury especially not even just looking at the Minnesota Wild players, but could you imagine if Tkachuk or Crosby or McDavid or it only takes one superstar to go down for the NHL to probably reconsider this. They are still in for the Olympics next year, but I imagine it's got to be. I personally, here's my solution, Kirsten. I want it in a preseason. I want to go back to the World Cup of Hockey when they did that in 2016. Have it in September. Scratch preseason play, or have that still going on for the guys that are trying to make the team, but have a preseason tournament.
Yeah, I like that idea. I really do. And it gets people, not that people aren't excited for the NHL season to start to begin with, because come October, that's on everyone's minds. Everyone's ready to get back to it. But I feel like there would be another certain layer to it, to have a big event like that at the start of the year, similar to how NASCAR does it in February with their biggest race of the entire year, Daytona 500, right out the gate, first race of the year. So I kind of like that.
I had no idea about that.
Fascinating. You learn a few things when you come from a family who's obsessed with NASCAR, and your dad collects over 300 model Jeff Gordon cars around your home. So I know a thing or two.
There we go. Have you been to a big NASCAR race?
No.
Okay.
No, but that would be cool. It'd be cool to go to one.
I'd go for the atmosphere. I feel like
I've heard they're fun.
Yeah.
We just don't really have a speedway like that near us, so it'd have to be a little weekend trip.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm all in on a preseason. Plus, if you do get hurt, you have time to recover and get back for the season. Not get back for the time which is arguably the most important time
right
of the
before
year when you're making those
playoffs.
playoff pushes. Yes, exactly. It's just, we'll see. Hopefully everybody comes out unscathed, because I am super excited about it. Because, Kirsten, I think for the first time ever, the U.S. has a chance to do really, really well. They are the deepest team, I think, in amongst all the teams. However, I do recognize that our dear Americans have not won a best-on-best tournament since 1996 in the World Cup. They came close, obviously winning silver in 2002 in Salt Lake City, as well as Vancouver. God, I still have such vivid memories of that. Zach Parise scoring the tying goal, Sidney Crosby scoring the golden goal in overtime, which was just...
Yeah. Also, not to get into the trenches of getting political here, but something too that I'm interested to see is how you've been hearing kind of the buzz around hockey a little bit, when the US and Canadian anthems are performed and like the boos for either or, just because of circumstances that have been happening. I'm interested to see what that would like, what that would be like, how that would affect the atmosphere of Four Nations too.
That's
like if there's an extra layer to it in this now.
Right. It's funny. I think there was a reporter asking Matthews about like he's like, Matthew's response was, "You don't want to ask me about politics, but you're going to ask me about politics." So
yeah,
he's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to answer about. I'm not going to talk about politics."
And that's the correct answer.
That's the correct answer. Yeah, it is. It'll be very interesting. I mean, you always talk about Brad Marchand, right? He plays for Boston, but he's Canadian. So how is that going to be received? I remember Ryan Kessler, big player for USA when they were up in Vancouver history. He had been the captain for the Canucks then. It's always kind of those fun little storylines. Here's another storyline for you, Kirsten.
I love
Sid,
a good storyline. Hit me with it.
Our good friend Sid, right? We're familiar. We're familiar with him. He, every time he has been captain, which he is captain of this Canada team, it's the fourth time he has been captain of Canada. Canada has always won gold. That's right. They won gold at the 2014 Sochi Olympics, 2015 World Championships, and the 2016 World Cup of Hockey. Plus, they are undefeated with Sidney Crosby in the lineup. 25-0 with Sidney Crosby in the lineup. Just something to dwell on.
Yeah. Fun little tidbit. It'll be rough to see that streak come to an end this tournament. But
I think so. Here's your other problem you have with Team Canada. This is for us Americans over here. 3 of the league's top 5 scorers are on Team Canada with McKinnon, McDavid, and Marner, plus 3 of the top 5 scoring defensemen in Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, and Shea Theodore are also on Team Canada. But they have head case Jordan Binnington and Aiden Hill for your goalies, which doesn't scare anybody.
No.
And you have Connor Hellebuyck and Jake Ottinger on this side, which I love. It's the deepest team. The U.S. has the deepest team without doubt.
Yeah, I agree. Right. I don't really have anything else to add there. Like you're hitting all the points. I agree.
You want me to keep going? I got more.
Yeah, feel free. Like obviously. Take it and run with it.
We all know the names, right? You got your Tkachuk, you got your Matthews, you got the Tkachuk brothers, rather, which will be quite fun to watch.
I don't have to hate Brady Tkachuk for once. Like that's excellent.
Right? Yeah, Jack Eichel up there, Dylan Larkin. That's what's kind of crazy is how deep this team is. Like Matt Boldy's going to be bottom 6, right? He might be.
That's crazy to think about.
Consider he had 14 points, 6 goals, 8 assists in 8 games at the World Championships this past spring. And he's got 45 points on the year, but he is, going to be your bottom 6. So that's where the depth rounds out, which I'm quite excited about. Who do you think? Are we not giving Sweden and Finland enough credit? Finland, to me, is completely off the radar. Without Miro Heiskanen, I wasn't even thinking about Finland, so that answers that part of the question completely. Yes. And Sweden, do we need to give them a little bit more respect?
I think a little bit. I mean, you look at the names on their roster, and I mean, right now, too, I'm just like hyper focused on all the wild players on the Sweden roster. Like Filip Gustavsson, still been having a great year. And if he does, we don't know, starting backup role, whatever that's going to look like, his situation, what his workload's going to be. But then, Jonas Brodin, Joel Eriksson. Yeah, I don't know. They're still on the radar, but I think the intensity of it is obviously, yes, USA, you went up and down the roster, and then Canada. I think that's really where it's at. But Sweden, give them a little bit of credit where credit's due. I mean, you've got Elias Pettersson and good old Willie Nylander out there as well. I love William Nylander. I know you do. But yeah, I don't know. There's just not enough. Victor Hedman on defense too, right? Also, like, maybe I'm not the right person to ask because for whatever reason, I just have such an appreciation for Swedish hockey players. Like, it seems like all of my favorite players around the league are Swedish. So, I don't know. It hits me different. Drop your favorite players right now. Well, obviously, Jonas Brodin, Joel Eriksson, love. William Nylander, also love. I have a liking for Liam Ogren. I know he's not playing, but I'm naming off Swedes at this point. So there's 4 right there. There's one that you haven't mentioned who's also on 4 Nations and plays for the Nashville Predators. Why am I blanking right now? Isn't Filip Forsberg up on your list too? Or no? Oh, I guess he is Swedish. I mean, I love Filip Forsberg. I guess I just completely forgot he's Swedish. So yes, we're going to add him also to this. I love Filip Forsberg.
Right. That's what I thought. I was like, am I
I just
missing
forget his
something?
nationality, I guess. For whatever reason, I feel like he's American. I don't know.
He is, because his accent is very hidden, I feel. Like,
Yeah,
when
that
he
could be
speaks,
it.
he's not very, yeah. Like,
Okay,
he's
so
not
yes, thank you for
thick.
calling that out because I love Filip Forsberg. I just forgot his nationality.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. That's fair. So, who do you think wins? Who takes all?
I think USA. Like, even just looking at the goaltending alone, it's USA.
It's the goaltending. And I think that's going to make the difference in a tournament like this. Again, it's a round robin situation. The only way you're going to stop that offense for Canada, which is mostly the top two lines, is with good goaltending, right? Like, you're not going to be able to counteract it. And the defense is solid back there too. I do think it's going to hurt the U.S. without Quinn Hughes. I think that's a huge blow, right?
Jake
Without-
Sanderson coming in now for USA, getting that call up.
Yeah. Which is
I think
great.
another thing too that's going to be interesting is it feels like this is like kind of one of those last big national stage events before the torch is going to get passed, especially when you look at like Team Canada, like Sidney Crosby, like before like the younger generation really comes up, like before like your Connor Bedard comes on to Team Canada to represent, before I'm assuming like your Adam Fantilli ends up coming up and joining, like passing of the torch from the older players to the younger generation as far as Canadians are concerned. So that's another aspect too to kind of maybe like take in a little bit before this tournament starts.
So it's a really good point.
Thank you.
like
I have some of those sometimes.
Sometimes I was really proud of you. That was
Thank you.
very nice. Speaking of Connor Bedard, did you see his and Biz's interaction?
How could I miss that?
Week? I just wanted to make sure in case you did miss it. Paul Bissonnette, better known as Biz Nasty with Spittin' Chicklets and TNT, had offered Connor a little bit of advice, a little bit of, I think it was about details of the game, and he's a young player. He did say it overly critical, right? And
Pond
I think
hockey.
he said it. Yeah, he said it's things that you learn on the pond, which maybe Bedard, and I feel like he might be accurate. I don't know that Connor Bedard played a lot of pond hockey. I don't know a lot of kids these days are playing pond hockey, which needs to change for the record, but that's another story for another day. Bedard responded to it, and then the Chicago Blackhawks got into the trolling mix, comparing stats. I don't think Biz was out of line in the
No, and I don't think he was out of line at all. I think this has gotten blown out of proportion because you are taking, like, I say this not in a disrespectful way, but like besides Connor Bedard, like the golden boy of the National Hockey League. And for whatever reason, the NHL, I don't think, namely Chicago, can't handle your star future face of the league being called out like that. And just because you're a star, a generational talent, I say kind of quotes because I don't think we've really seen peak Connor Bedard, what he's capable of just yet. So I'm treading lightly here because I'm not saying he's not talented by any means, but you're not exempt from criticism when you've had a bad game or you make bad plays. I don't think Biz was out of line whatsoever with what he said. And like, I love how he's reacted to it. He's like, no, please. Like, he's like, I can handle this. Like, give me the clap backs to it. I love maybe being able to be motivation for somebody. And like, I hope like down the line, he can be like, yeah, Biz called me out on this and here I am now. So I love his attitude surrounding it, but also like, I don't know. And I do love a team trolling and whatnot. So I don't have a problem with what Chicago did. But at the same time, it's like your players aren't exempt from criticism for having a bad game. Like it's part of the game.
It kind of in relation, I was finishing up, I've been watching Starting Five for the past like year, right, on Netflix. Excuse me. And so I finally had a little bit of time, and there was Jason Tatum's coach, right? Jason Tatum for the Boston Celtics. The question posed to him was like, is it unfair that he's criticized, when things go wrong? And the coach responded with, he gets to be criticized. He gets to be this player that is expected of to be so much. So no, he gets to have this pressure because that comes with being the face of the league. That comes with being the guy on the team. So he gets to have all of that because that's what he signed up for. That's what you get. In similar ways, Connor Bedard, you get to have the criticism because you are viewed on this upper echelon, which is great, and it's going to be so great for the game. But yeah, you're exactly right. It doesn't mean that you don't get to be knocked down a peg or two when it's deserved.
I love that perspective too, and I think Connor Bedard can handle it. But also, like, yeah, he's still young. Like this is really like his first full season after having been injured last year too, taking some time out. So like he's gonna make mistakes. He's still so young. And especially too, you get like more of that criticism like when people know you are better, when they know the expectations for you are higher and you're just missing that mark. So yeah, like you get to have that because you are better.
Yeah. You don't go horse for a player with no potential.
Exactly.
When you ignore him, it's a line from Love and Basketball.
You love that movie so much.
You would have thought that I would be covering basketball the way that I loved basketball growing up. I swear, it's iconic.
You were gonna go D1.
I was gonna go D1, USC, area baller, probably be on the LA Sparks by now. Is where I should have been.
Well, we can take a moment to mourn your
Just put it.
what
that little
should have been
dream.
your life.
Would have been very, very different from what it is now. On that note, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to dive a little bit into what we've seen from some new Minnesota Wild players, Vinny Hinostroza, Liam Ogren now getting settled in, and what's to come after the break, because we are at the end of February when they come back, nearly March, which means it's nearly playoff times in April. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Your nostalgic SotaStick favorites are back, and they are in stock now at SotaStick.com. From the Met Center colored seats, my personal favorite tee, to the getting blown out the Metrodome door, rep the Minnesota sports timeless vibes with a SotaStick hat, hoodie, tee, whatever suits you and their nostalgic vibes. SotaStick has all the best gear in the game. Don't forget to smash Bardown Beauties at checkout for 15% off all your purchases. Again, that's at SotaStick.com.
I don't know what that face was. I'm a little scared, Mom.
We're back. Here we go.
Back.
I just have to practice the smile. This whole week when there's no hockey, I'm not going to have as much I don't have to be on. You know what I mean?
I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, right? It's going to be nice to not have to be so chipper and peppy.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to get dressed all week.
There you go.
Hanging out.
I feel like the tides have kind of turned this morning. Like I'm way more peppy and upbeat. Granted, you have a cold, but I just feel like we've kind of reversed roles today.
It's
little
mostly this cold. I just don't feel myself. I can feel the redness of my nose. I can feel it. It's just that, right? The sun's shining. I went and read a book at my kid's school today. It's been a fine day. I'm so good at reading books, by the way.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I finally finished my first book of the year. So now I'm back on track. I just have to finish my second book for February. My goal is 1 book a month. I'm hoping to exceed that. Usually I thrive in the summer with reading because I can sit outside. But yeah, I'm pacing myself 1 book a month. I'm not like I read 10 books this month kind of person. I can't commit to that. I can't. So I've been seeing people already post on their book goals for the year. Like, this is my 15th book so far. And I'm like, how do you find the time? I think I acknowledge I'm also a slow reader, so it takes me more time. But I'm like, how do you guys do this?
Yeah, it lets me zone out. I read before I go to bed usually. But we're gonna start this on TikTok. I think we have to do book reviews, Beauties book reviews, because the book that I read called Game Changer recently. So back when I was in 7th grade, Kirsten knows this, but for those who don't, there was this book called See Jane Score, and it was my favorite book ever because it was a little smutty, if you will, but it was about a hockey reporter and a goalie that she got down and dirty with, and I just, obviously living my dream. Just kidding, because I don't love goalies. But anyway, that was my first introduction, and then I finally circled back on it because all I see at bookstores, on those end caps, are all of these sport romance novels, right? And I can't.
I look like children's books, preteen.
Yes.
I literally had a mom ask me last week about Icebreaker, the book I just finished reading.
Yeah.
Because I also thought it was just kind of like a gimmicky preteen book based on the cover.
Yeah.
And then I read it and I was like, oh no, this is not appropriate for
Again, I was in 7th grade.
the youth.
That stuff. She's fine.
Yeah, but I had a mom ask me, she's like, is this appropriate? I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, you parent your children the way you will, but for a 12-year-old, I would not say read this book.
I know. So this Game Changer. I'm not exactly, a bonnet, very easily offended type of girl. This book had me blushing My goodness, there were some chapters that I was like, oh, okay, like we need to take a moment right now.
Yeah.
Like, it had me, and then I had some other friends reach out to like, oh, you have to read this one and this one. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. But she was
I've
like,
been
if you were
having that same
blushing-
thing.
Yeah, she's like, if you were blushing with Game Changer, don't read this one yet. It's Pucking Wild. So now I'm going to get Pucking Wild next. But I think we should have strict book reviews, hockey, romance novel book reviews on our TikTok. What say you?
Yeah. I bought like a stack of these books with the intention to make fun of them. To my knowledge, I mean, very unrealistic, the plot line of some of these books, but a great plot nonetheless. So I'm invested. I really am. Me and Laura, she came up yesterday for a Super Bowl party I hosted, and we were buying supplies at Target, and we stopped in the book section, and she was appalled, like literally appalled by the amount of hockey romance novels. She's like, what is happening? We counted at least 15.
I found
At
10
least
at my local
15.
Target. Yeah.
Huh?
I said I found 10 at my local Target.
Yeah, it's like just it's such a niche area all of a sudden, hockey romance books. And it's like, why this one area? Like I've seen more hockey romance books than any other romance book out there.
It's wild. Game Changer, terrible plot line. No conflict. I like conflict in my stories. It really keeps me engaged. And it's like it almost seemed rushed at the end to be like, oh yeah, we have to have some sort of quick conflict. And then it was in and out in the last like 20 pages. It was terrible. But
Icebreaker has conflict. I want a sequel, and every woman deserves a Nate Hawkins. I fell in love with him. I was like, wow, this man was written by a woman. And then I came to the realization, well, this book was literally written by a woman. So yes. But I loved it. I'm honestly like, I got emotional finishing it because I was like, why do I want to cry finishing this book? Because I didn't want it to be done. And now I'm scared to start a new book because like I loved that book so much. What if the next book isn't as good?
well, it's a risky take. But you can still put it on your Goodreads and it counts toward your goal.
I don't have a Goodreads. Do I get one?
Yeah, start a
Should I?
Goodreads.
Is it an app?
It's an app.
Okay.
Keeps track of all your books that you've read and recommends new ones. So it's
Okay.
a new thing I'm trying this year too. But follow us on TikTok. We'll put reviews up there. It'll be fun. Do something with it. Let's switch gears to Minnesota Wild talk. Kirsten, at the break, the Wild are 8th in the league, 5th in the West, 3rd in the Central with 70 points, 2 points ahead of the Colorado Avalanche, who are in that top wild card spot. I do want to take a moment to point out that there is no roster freeze during this Four Nations break. Now, granted, Bill Guerin has his hands full and busy with general manager duties for Team USA. But I do find that interesting. Do you think teams are going to like make some moves over the break? We've already seen a lot happening pre Four Nations, but do you think they use that time? Are they going to let guys enjoy their vacay spots?
I honestly, my gut feeling is saying there's not going to be much movement during the Four Nations break. Like, I don't know. I just have a gut feeling. And all of the reporters kind of too, like around the league were like, oh, like with Four Nations, it's like we have a second trade deadline. So I think there's a reason for that, like getting a lot of that business done beforehand. So I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to not see as many headlines during this time period.
Where do you think they're vacationing? We got Rossi and Turks and Caicos. I think I overheard a couple of the guys are in Mexico.
I was going to say, too, because Jonas Brodin, when he got the chain, he's like, have fun in Mexico, boys. So I'm assuming like Cancun or somewhere is where the rest of the team's going.
I feel like that probably makes sense because he can't really go crazy. Well, yeah, Mexico sounds good.
Turks and Caicos, though, I want to go there.
If you are the coach, do you allow Ryan Hartman to go on vacation? Or do you say, you stay here and you are... Actually, he must be staying local.
Well, it sounds like he's got a meeting with Gary Bettman coming up this week, so he's probably not really going international.
This is true. He is meeting with Gary Bettman to appeal his 10-game suspension. He's already served 3 of those games. That's on Friday in New York. So,
Yes.
yeah. So...
Might, if we're lucky, get 1 or 2 games off. It's not gonna. I wouldn't hold my breath that it's gonna be anything crazy, if anything.
Good news on the offensive front, though. John Hines did say he expects Jakub Lauko to join the team in a practice capacity, at least, following the break. No further update on Kirill Kaprizov. I did see him milling around in the hallway on Thursday, standing upright, and I overheard the trainer tell him to make sure not to get his surgery scar wet and keep it out of the sun.
So well, hopefully Krull's getting a deserved little break here to relax.
Where would you go? Turks and Caicos, I hear, is a really cool spot.
I would go Turks and Caicos. Like, that's a place on my list that I do want to go to.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be good. What about
So that's,
Hawaii?
yeah, I would be Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos. Mexico wouldn't be bad. Yeah. It's weird. A lot more of them have kids now. Do they take the kids with, or do you leave kids with the nanny? They got school. What do you do?
Well, I don't know. I think, like, if you have, like, more, like, school-age kids or, like, kids old enough where you can leave them, like, with your, like, with their grandparents or something. Probably doing that, but, like, I'm thinking of, like, Midzi and Hartman, like, who have babies under, like, 6 months. 6 months? Midzi for sure, but Hartman, like, 6 months
No, Hartman's
now.
is younger than Midzi's, I think. Or no, wait, Midzi was the
No,
smallest,
Midzi,
right?
yeah, Midzi, I think, had his baby right after Hartman did.
Yeah.
So, like, when you have babies that young, what I'm saying is you're probably not leaving them. Like, you're probably staying home.
I went to Vegas, like, less than a year after Hudson was born. So, yeah, I would leave. I did. For a weekend, not for a week. It was a weekend.
I mean, yeah, but also you're not going international.
No, this is true.
I don't know.
This is true.
To each their own. I have never parented a child, so I don't know what the schedule is like. I'm just making assumptions here.
It's not a vacation with children. It's a trip. So if you want a vacation, you leave the children. If you want a trip, then you take the little rugrats with you. Although I think, like, in certain situations, like, I know, like, Spurgeon and Flurry, like, their kids are all the same age. So I do think sometimes that helps. Like, when you've got some older ones that can watch the younger ones, and then they're all together, because it's actually easier to parent a ton of kids together sometimes.
I could see that.
Yeah,
They
like,
keep
'cause
each other entertained.
Exactly. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. But how do you think Minnesota is going to do after? We saw 2 good wins at home. Seems like they might have finally sorted some of that out before they hit this break. Do we feel the Wild are going to get back to what we saw at the very early beginning of the year? The schedule certainly, I don't want to say lightens up, because as we've mentioned, numerous times March is an every other day thing. But it's kind of a favorable schedule on paper, I think, as far as the opposition goes. You're done with Winnipeg. I think you've got maybe 1 or 2 more against Dallas. 1 more against Colorado, maybe. And then you got Vancouver and St. Louis. But otherwise, it's not crazy.
I'm hopeful. Like, I loved what we saw from the Wild the last 2 home games before heading into the break. And I think they needed that too. And now you get a little bit of a reset. You get to rest the body a little bit. So I'm hopeful, especially just because we've put so much emphasis on it with how bad of a home team they've been this year. You're creeping towards the postseason. You need to solidify a spot. You get 11 home games in March. You got to figure it out. So I'm not fully convinced, but I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic.
I'm cautiously optimistic too. I think those 2 wins to the break really helped, and I do believe in the importance of a break, just because I think you need to step away. You need to kind of get things rocking and rolling. I am concerned, Kirsten, that Alex Ovechkin is going to hit the record goal before he gets to Minnesota at the end of March, though. He's going to do it in, like, Winnipeg and just really piss me off. They're in Winnipeg the night before.
I'm sorry if that does happen. I know it's something you've really been looking forward to, but it'd be kind of funny to see a reaction if it did happen before. Like, maybe the night before they come to Minnesota.
It's like, it's exactly what would happen. Like,
I would love, we need to make sure we're in the same room so I can be videotaping this.
Yeah, deal. Done. Like, I can't believe it. He's 16 away. It's insane.
Man is on a mission.
God, he keeps crushing it too. Like,
after breaking his leg, going out, like
he an entire month.
And picking up like he missed no time.
If he hadn't missed that month, we would have no shot.
Absolutely not.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Honestly, I don't know what you want. I think you want this more for one reason as opposed to the other. Like, you're thinking it would be cool, obviously, historic to see Ovi do it in person. But I feel part of you is more so hoping Gretzky is going to be in the building.
It's all of the above,
and that
but
you want to run into Gretzky.
Yes. So there's 17 more games until he's in Minnesota. So I stand corrected. It's not a back-to-back. I thought someone told me it was a back-to-back, but he's in Winnipeg on the 25th, and he's in Minnesota on the 27th. And yes, Wayne Gretzky, we were just talking about this Saturday. Like, when do we think Wayne starts following him around? Like, it's got to be close. 16 goals. Once he gets down to like 7.
I don't know. I'm still not convinced he's going to be there in person. Like,
I'm making a bet.
I'm not convinced.
$10.
They might phone him in from TNT and being like, hey, congrats.
It's going to be there. Gordy did it for Wayne. Wayne will do it for Oves. It's happening.
I don't know.
And yes, I want to see, not only do I want to see this, because what a spectacle, what an incredible thing. But yeah, I want Wayne Gretzky in the building. I want to shake his hand. And then I'm going to say, sir, can we get you saying go Bardown Beauties or something? We'll do something for the pod.
Respect. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I, as well, back to the original point, I think Minnesota will do okay coming out of the break. I think, like I said, the mind's about them.
You need to get hot at the right time. And I've said that since September. And so the Wild having gone on the start that they had, but then fall into the struggles, I still stand by. If they were going to have those struggles, I'm happy it happened at the time it did. But let's just make sure those struggles don't carry on into late March. Like, let's go into March at home, going back to how we were in September now. Like, hopefully that little funk period, injuries, all that is sorted out.
And Filip Gustavsson's looked really good.
He has.
He's played a really good, even in Ottawa where, he was left out to dry. He still stopped like 40 shots or whatever.
Brian Hartman also didn't help that situation at all.
Brian Hartman. Man, Hartsy, come on now. But yeah, so I think they've got things rocking and rolling. Again, you get Krull back at some point in March here. It'll be good. Everything's good. I'm losing my voice, so we're gonna wrap this episode up. I think is probably time, right? We said everything we needed to
I've been yapping. I've been yapping a lot this morning.
I appreciate it. Do you see how it's gotten worse? Like, it's just gotten...
Yeah, I do see you look a little defeated at this very moment.
I know. It's hard. It's tickling my throat. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Bardown Beauties. Again, don't forget, live show at Tom Reed's Saturday, 6 p.m. Puck drop for USA versus Canada at 7. I'm so freaking excited. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great beer specials, obviously. We all know we love TR. Shout out to Grain Belt for that. Shout out to Talk North, Royal Credit Union, SotaStick, and Jim Beam. As always, you guys as well. You're awesome. Love the engagement in last week's YouTube comment section. Keep it going. And this week, hopefully, I won't have any audio to video issues. Good week. Bye. Go USA.
Near, 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 near.